Olin. Hi, I'm Camille.
And I'm Gretchen. Welcome, everybody, to Starting Over Series, our podcast.
That's right. We've had a really good week, and we're here to chat with you about getting betrayed or let down and how to deal with that in professional world and in personal world, right?
Absolutely. And it's not it's not like we're not necessarily talking about some big thing. This could just be in your relationship.
Well, it's stuff that happens all the time where someone, I was planning on taking you here and I can't. I'm sorry. Or
Letdowns.
letdowns. Yeah, letdowns.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
So when you are working with people in your practice, I'm sure that is a large majority of confrontation with people, and that
Yes.
somebody feels let down.
Oh, it's a routine. I think relationships all the time get let down, right? And if you're real sensitive to that, or you make it mean something about you, or you take it personal, maybe it's a code. They don't want me. They don't like me. They're trying to, we tend to do that. We make it mean something, right? Mm-hmm. And I will say if it's a routine thing and it's a constant thing, it probably does mean something. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But you have to discern if it's really just a one-time thing or if it's just a routine thing and they really don't want to be around you.
And so I don't know about men, but I know for women, we do tend to let our mind go into a direction of,
yeah,
I'm not this, I'm not that, whatever it is. And like, I think what I took from what you just said is if it's a moment, where whoever that person is, if it's a moment where there's just a stressful thing going on, you can't make it about you.
right.
But I do think if you do share your feelings and things don't change,
Yes.
it is about you.
Well,
It's
look,
more of them, but it's,
but we all,
affecting you.
you have needs. Everyone has needs inside of a relationship. And hypothetical, it's work related, and they're a doctor. There's somebody that they're on call or something like that, and it's life and death matters. And not that that's not critical and important. That's true. But you matter too.
Yeah.
So if the work is going to always be in front of you, I don't care what it is. If it's in front of you, that person may not really be relationship ready. They just might have to just work, and that's going to be their priority because it's going to take a toll inside of the committed relationship.
So what's your advice with communication when people are going through this and one person is feeling left out or maybe not a priority? What's the conversation?
Well, it has to be shared, and preferably it's not ambushed. But you need to say, look, I need to talk to you. Are you able to have a conversation with me about some stuff? I need to share a concern with you. And my concern is I don't feel like I'm a priority. And I know you work and I validate your whatever's going on, that you're not able to be your word. Or usually it's a broken promise. And so, how would you like me to deal with this? Or what is it I can count on really from you? Because it's about the integrity of it. And look, if I'm going to break my word to you, if I'm like, I'm going to call you, I'm going to let you know so you're not wondering, or I just respect you and your time. I respect most
You're
people.
actually really, really good at that.
Yeah,
Which you're never late, but if you're ever in traffic or stuck at a light, you always let me know.
Yeah, so I just let people know so they're just not wondering. And integrity matters to me. And if the integrity matters to you, it needs to matter to your partner. But if I'm going to break my word to that person for whatever reason, I'm going to be in communication about that. And then I'm responsible for the impact that it caused over there too.
Right.
And I'm willing to take the heat for that. But if your partner is breaking their word, they're not there for whatever reason, work related, it could be valid, and it's a routine. It's not like it's just one off. That needs to be addressed because your needs are not going to get met and you don't matter. That's how it's going to land on you, is you don't matter inside that relationship. But you have to say that to your partner. Now, how do they respond to that? Are they defensive, or I don't care, or well, that person was going to die. You're right. And so who am I going to be? Oh, I'm that needy girlfriend or somebody that's going to be a problem for you because you're Mr. Hero. Again, it depends on how that gets worked out, and both sides have to be validated.
And I think the takeaway is don't let it build.
Right.
Don't let it build, because we know from other podcasts that leads to resentment. That leads to no trust. That leads to terrible communication.
Yeah.
But I do think there is a moment of pause that's needed, and where you need to just kind of size up the situation, because sometimes people can be really trigger happy to say things, and it's just for a moment. Like it's not that big of a deal.
And I agree. I think if you're angry, hold back. If you're upset and angry, hold back. Calm down, and then figure out what you want to say. That's what I would say about that. Yeah.
And so how do you help people that, let's say they're not married, but they're in a relationship, and maybe one or the other is just used to work, 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 work. That's just what they do. And the other person is not used to that. And maybe that wasn't shown or discussed in the very beginning. How do you help them? Because that person that loves to work is still going to do that. But that person that's feeling left out, how do you help them?
That person that's a workaholic, so to speak, is working probably for money, but there's also maybe an emotional reason for it. But if they need to really be confronted and asked, do you really want to have a relationship? Because a relationship needs water. It needs time. It's like a plant. You got to take care of it. If you want it to grow, you've got to nurture it and give it time. It's required. And if you can't oblige your partner by giving the time required, it's not going to last anyway. So that's just a consequence of not being there.
Yeah. And so how do you help people be there when
their partner's missing, when they're MIA? That's a tough one because I'm asking them to compromise their needs. And so I really can't talk people out of being upset or resentful or angry. I validate that. I say, I totally get that. And so what are your options? You can blow out of here and be angry and rude, or you can, sit and see if you can impart, your feelings to your partner and see how they really feel. And if they care, they'll shift. If they don't, they won't.
Yeah. And I think too, sometimes, I think it's a delicate situation sometimes with terminology, because you mentioned earlier, sometimes people be like, oh, you're needy. Okay, well, if you desire to have affection or you desire to have, communication every day or whatever it is, I don't think that means you're needy.
It isn't. But again, if someone's going to say, like, if someone says back to you, well, if you weren't so needy, okay, so that's how my true needs are going to be met. Is I'm going to be critiqued, I'm going to be judged, right? That's probably not your person. And again, being needy is normal when you're in a relationship and you've had a great bond, you've had some great moments, but if they're gone, you miss each other.
Right.
That's nothing's wrong with that.
Right.
And
I think too, it's a matter of just finding the balance. So say you are the person that's working or preoccupied, or you have a deadline. It's kind of laying out a floor plan before situations, before the day gets going. In other words, if you know that, say, he or she needs to have some validation at some point, then send a text.
Yes.
You don't have to spend 2 hours on the phone. Just send an emoji of something sweet, just so it's interpreted that I'm not forgotten.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think sometimes, especially, I can speak just in my own situation. Yeah. Sometimes I think men tend to get into a work mode that they don't think on an emotional level a lot of times. And so it's not anything personal. It's just that it's not priority.
Right.
And sometimes it can lead a woman to be feeling like, well, something's changed.
Yes.
I don't matter as much.
And then you make something up, and you're thinking and faith and being faithful. I mean, all that stuff comes into play. And look, I do think if there's a powerful man out there that's in high command, I'm thinking of Tom Brady right now with this conversation, because he really was the top of the heap, and his wife gave him an ultimatum. Remember that? She said to him, basically, it's time. I mean, you have been the star and everything for a long time, and the family needs you. I've been doing a lot of the heavy lifting here at home, and we got the kids and everything. And he was constantly, football is demanding. So she asked him to, now step back into the family and help her out and kind of belong again. Well, he said he would. He said, okay, no problem. And then he went back on the road.
Well, now he's in the booth.
Now
he's not on the field. He's just as busy because he's at a game every week.
She left him.
She said enough.
She left him. Yeah.
And I don't know that situation, but it sounds like there was communication.
Oh,
she shared what I have supported during this amount of years and all of this time, and I would imagine her career even kind of took a
she's backseat. Oh, she's a mom. Everything was backseat to Tom Brady, and again, a good woman does that for her man. But at some point there will be a breakup if that doesn't get rectified. I think most people aren't necessarily needy. They're looking for some sort of validation, and they do need to have a routine or some sort of connection, a stable connection. And I feel like if that person can't supply that for you, by the way, she had an affair with his trainer or somebody. I mean, look, people get revenge; they get even. Okay.
Okay.
So, but if you're in a relationship where you're not getting your needs met and you aren't, and they aren't carving out time for you, yes, I'm busy, but you matter, so we're going to go on a vacation, or I'm going to do this, and you know they're trying. If they're trying, it's a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah.
But if you're annoying, or if you're a needy, little woman, or a needy guy, then that's going to make you not want to bring it up at all. So now you're shut down. How long can you stay in that pressure cooker moment?
Right. And I think, too, if you feel like you've been labeled something that isn't the way you really are, or you're embarrassed, or you're
shamed.
You're not secure to even share your feelings of how this is landing on you.
Yeah.
I think it's also realistic to think you can't expect that person to understand it if you don't share it.
That's right.
Most of the time, people that are working and busy like that, they're so focused
myopic,
that they're not paying attention.
That's right.
This and that, and you see this all the time with kids.
Yeah.
Parents get busy and they're working or doing whatever. I know of a family that the dad was a coach to some of the kids, but the other kids were not being coached by them and by him, and those kids felt left out.
For sure. See, and isn't that the ultimate goal? Is you want to be special. You want to be treated special. If you're their number one, if you're their person, you want to know that you're their person, and so people need to feel like they're priorities. Mm-hmm. And if that's not going to happen, that's where the breakdown happens.
Yeah,
because you're going to lose enthusiasm. You're going to lose that connection. You're going to lose that. You to self-preserve. You're going to have to pull back.
Yeah. And when you pull back, that's when resentment starts.
That's right.
So when people come into you
yeah.
and they're at a place that resentment has started,
yeah.
how are you helping them?
Well, there has to be some sort of moment where the person that's not around has to get it. Because if they're not going to be able to pull off reconnecting, reestablishing that bond, and desiring to. Honestly, if that person's really apologetic and they get it, they see it, they're like, you know what, this has been a bad year, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Look, your partner already knows what's going on. They already have compassion. They feel better. They'd be gone. If they really didn't feel like you were a good human, they wouldn't want to be with you. But the person that's been absent is the one that has to step it up, or you're going to lose that person. And they can do that by making that person feel like a priority. Well, how'd they do that? How'd they start doing that to begin with? They took them out. I had eye contact. They were curious about them. They loved on them. They gave them affection. Then they gave them attention. And they continue to be consistent with their love and affection. Look, I know men with high demanding jobs. They're detectives. They're SWAT. They're military. And sometimes they're gone. They're out of the country. They're busy. But you still have to have a promise. I can't see you for 3 months. I can't talk. I'm on some sort of an assignment. But when I get back, we're going to, and you keep your word. That you may, because people will wait. People will wait for that affection. Mm-hmm. They'll anticipate it. But if you break your word and you don't pull it off, you don't fulfill, you're going to lose that person. That's where the harm comes in, is when there's an expectation that's doused, because you set the expectation and then you blow it.
And, on the other side, not everybody has a job like that. So
true.
What we're saying, y'all, this is simple.
Yeah. Just
we live in a tech era. Send a text.
Yeah.
Make a phone call that, hey, I've got 30 seconds before this next meeting. I just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you. That goes a long way.
And to your point, I think what's really important is to have that conversation of, look, for me, what works in a relationship, I need to know, spell it out. My language of love is, or this is what I need to have. Can you accommodate that? What do you need from me? And so we have managed the expectations. And what we're talking about is people know the expectations and they still don't keep their word. Mm-hmm. If you're not keeping your promises, you don't keep your word, that's where it isn't about necessarily texting or not. Now it's about, do you really care? And if a person has the integrity issues like that, you are not their priority. And that's got to get corrected, because you can't keep stepping over that disappointment all the time.
Yeah. And I think, too, especially for women, guys, pay attention to how were you in the beginning? Mm-hmm. How attentive were you to her in the beginning?
Yeah. Till you got her.
She's going to remember that.
Yeah.
And so that will be her comparison.
Yes.
You used to do this. Why aren't you doing this now?
That's right.
I think one of the scary traps that relationships can get into is when people just get way too comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They get way too comfortable where they feel like, you see it all the time. You go out to a restaurant, you see couples sitting there, they never talk.
I know, they're on their phones.
Right.
I can't stand that.
To me, I'm just like, oh, I was just at this summit,
Yeah.
and there was a speaker that said, for like the rest of the afternoon, there was, I don't know, 500 people there. When you get on an elevator, and we're all there for the same summit, we all have on a name tag.
Sure.
He said, don't look at your phone.
Look at each
You
other.
just got off your phone, like nothing's happening, but
Right.
it's such a easy thing, so I don't have to have contact with somebody. And I could tell, just from people that I was around, we're in the elevator and we're like, "Oh, hey, Susie,
Yeah.
look, we're not on our phone. So happy to meet you
Yeah.
or see you." And I thought to myself, that is such a good takeaway.
It is.
Like at
It's a
the
good
dinner
idea.
table or right before bed or whatever, put the phone down.
Yes.
And just invest in some time.
Especially with your kids and your family,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even for yourself. But, I think with couples in a relationship, intimacy, and I don't mean sex, but intimacy
Yes.
of
Vulnerability.
connecting with your
Yeah.
heart and looking at each other and, having moments where you hold each other or hold hands or something like that.
Yeah.
That's all speaking a huge amount of emotions
Yeah.
to each other.
Yeah.
And
It's
I think-
investing in each other.
Absolutely. And for women, I can only speak for women. You can probably speak for men because you work with them all the time. But we need to feel like we're valued.
Yes.
We need to feel like we matter, and we need to feel like you would fight for me, or you would be there for me, or I matter as much to you now as I did 2 weeks after knowing me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I watch men, it's interesting. They get, one thought at a time. And I think women are a little more versatile thinking. No offense to men, but what I watch men do, and I hear them, they tell me, because I know they love their women. I'm inquiring. I'm like, she's crying. She misses you. What's going on? Well, if I don't get this, job, if I don't line this gig, I'm not going to be able to pay the bills. I'm not going to, like, he's so panicked about something, but he hasn't shared that with her. He hasn't told her that, right? So he's just trying to keep all that from her and trying to be the hero. And so she doesn't know the weight of the world on him.
Sure.
And he doesn't want her to panic with him. He needs her to be his peace. But it's like men think, I've got to get this and this and this done. If I get that done, then I can relax. And so have you ever heard that?
Yes, and
Yeah.
what I think what we're saying is that you can't wait for that end.
No.
Because you may lose that person.
Right.
So along the lines, this is the
Communicate.
communication. Yeah, it's like, hey, I have these deadlines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or my boss just gave me these new things.
Yeah.
Or, I am struggling with my family. Whatever it is.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
so you know, I still love and adore you.
Yeah.
I cherish you. But if I'm a little preoccupied, please just know that I still feel this way about you.
Yeah.
Then you have grace.
Yeah. And don't give up on us. Don't give up on me,
Right.
But I think men expect women just to kind of hold that line. Look, a woman's emotional state is her reality. So what that means is if she's fearing something, if she doesn't feel loved by you, that's what she's believing. And so when she's moody or irritable, she doesn't think you love her. And he's like, "What are you? Where'd that come from?" Right. Look,
How
men
do
are
you
like,
not know that I love you?
Exactly. It's like, because women, we get triggered, and then unless we can come talk to you about it, we just sit with it and make shit up in our heads.
That's so true. And I will say too, if you are somebody that's in like a newer phase of life where you're either starting new relationships or you have something to compare to.
Yeah.
We try not to live this way, but oftentimes when we feel like maybe we're not priority, it can also kind of make us think or make people feel like this isn't going to work.
Right.
They've lost interest.
They quit.
Yeah.
I should quit.
Or
I'm
I'm not
get
doing
hurt.
this again. I don't
I'm
want to
gonna get hurt. Yeah.
Breaks. Yeah.
That's exactly right. So communication's key.
Yeah.
So start over with each other. It's like, I want to start over with you. We want to kind of reset ourselves. And when you do that inside of a relationship, it's like, from this point on, we're going to correct. But you can start over anytime in your world, for yourself, and in a relationship.
And I think too, just wrapping this up, when two people really care about each other, even in a parent-child situation, a best friend situation, whatever it is, when people really care about each other, they want to be invested for your feelings.
Yes.
And they want to make those changes or those corrections or just an extra effort because they care and they love you. And so this shouldn't be a conversation that's scary. This should be one that's out of love, not accusatory, like you said.
Yeah.
And, give each other the benefit of the doubt. And women, for all intents and purposes, like, don't let the mind go down that weird train
that
that
rabbit hole.
we tend to have it on.
That's right.
Anyway, we appreciate you guys so much. Starting Over series is what we are. It's our podcast. And we also want you to know you can look forward to this. We are going to be coming out with a newsletter that is just an email that comes out every week that kind of gets some bullet points and some ideas of things that we want to share with you. So we hope that you're looking forward to that because we are as well. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.